Imagine a world where the biggest political events, the speeches, the scandals, the supposed conflicts, are part of an elaborate performance. A show crafted not just for your attention, but for your belief. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a practice rooted in a very real concept called kayfabe, a term pulled straight from professional wrestling.
You can kiss my...
For those that don't know any better, it's very real. Now imagine that same tactic applied to politics. Leaders appear to clash, decisions seem to hang by a thread, yet behind the scenes, it's all scripted, designed to keep us watching, questioning, but never fully understanding. What if the very conflicts shaping our world were part of this grand performance?
He consistently benefited by being underestimated.
A world where power is theater, and the truth hidden behind a well-placed mask. To understand how deeply kayfabe has infiltrated politics, we need to examine the ways in which this blending of performance and reality plays out. These examples highlight not just political theater, but how carefully constructed narratives shape public opinion, conceal true intentions, and keep us fixated on the wrong conflicts. The rivalry between Democrats and Republicans in the United States is one of the most visible examples of political theater. To the average voter, the two parties seem to be locked in a constant battle over everything from healthcare to taxes. Yet behind the scenes, bipartisan cooperation on issues like spending bills and foreign policy reveal that the divide may not be as deep as it appears. Both parties benefit from maintaining the illusion of conflict. This keeps voters emotionally invested and loyal, while deeper issues like unchecked government spending, corporate interests, and bloated bureaucracy are quietly ignored. This is kayfabe in action, the appearance of a grand ideological divide, masking the reality that many political decisions are made in closed-door meetings, with both sides working together to preserve the status quo. The pandemic is another example where kayfabe played a role in shaping public perception. From the beginning, political leaders across the globe turned the pandemic into a stage for their own performances, with many using the crisis to increase their political capital. The media amplified conflicts over lockdowns, mask mandates, and vaccinations, creating an atmosphere of fear and division. In the US, leaders at all levels presented themselves as either the saviors or the victims of the crisis, depending on their political affiliations. The public, in turn, was divided among partisan lines, as leaders framed the pandemic response not as a health issue, but as a political one. Yet behind the scenes, decisions were often driven by economic and strategic considerations that had little to do with public health. By turning the pandemic into a political spectacle, leaders were able to secure more power, more funds, while keeping the public distracted by the drama. It's important to recognize that not all political events are mere theater. While kayfabe helps explain certain manipulations in political narratives, many issues facing society are deeply real and rooted in genuine conflict or ideological differences. Take, for example, the debate over veteran healthcare reform. This is not a performance. This is a critical issue affecting millions of veterans and their access to essential services, with real consequences for their well-being and livelihoods. Similarly, issues like criminal justice reform or the opioid epidemic are often subject to intense debate because they impact the lives of countless individuals in tangible ways. These are not conflicts manufactured for media attention, but genuine political struggles that demand serious solutions. It's essential to discern between what is kayfabe and what is a legitimate, high-stakes issue that affects real lives, especially for those engaged in preparing for the long-term consequences of the decisions that are made today. The debate over kayfabe in politics isn't as straightforward as it may seem. There are strong arguments both for and against the idea that politics is merely a performance designed to manipulate the public. Proponents of the kayfabe theory argue that politics has become more about appearances than substance. The rise of 24-hour news networks, social media, the constant polling has turned politicians into performers, constantly managing their public image. Instead of real policy debates, we get photo ops, sound bites,
Again, about it. Forget about it. What's the matter with you?
And staged conflicts designed to generate headlines. In this view, kayfabe is a natural outcome of modern politics. Politicians craft their personas and play their roles while the media feeds off the drama. As a result, the public becomes more invested in the spectacle than the policies themselves. This, critics argue, allows the politicians to maintain power without being held accountable for real results. However, critics of the kayfabe theory argue that it oversimplifies the complexities of governance. While it's true that some political theory exists, they contend that genuine ideological differences and real policy challenges remain. Politicians on both sides of the aisle often have deeply held beliefs, and the conflicts we see are not always staged. Critics also warn that focusing too much on kayfabe can lead to disengagement. If the public begins to see all political conflict as a performance, they may lose faith in the political process altogether. This cynicism could further erode trust and reduce participation, ultimately benefiting those who want to maintain the status quo. When political theater overshadows real policy debate, it's easy to become cynical. Kayfabe offers a lens through which we can understand how politicians use performance to manipulate public perception. But while the presence of kayfabe in politics is undeniable, the challenge lies in distinguishing between genuine policy debates and staged conflicts. True preppers, those who want to genuinely make their communities better and stronger, must understand these dynamics. It's not enough to be prepared with supplies or skills. You have to be prepared mentally for the exhausting reality of how power operates. Knowing how the game is played is tiring, but it's the only way to teach others how to navigate these systems. Ultimately, it's the preppers who understand the mechanics who will thrive as they guide their communities and maybe even take the next step, engaging in politics themselves. Real leaders aren't just preparing for a crisis. They're shaping the world after it. Be good, stay safe, and have a good one.